know a lot of times as an entrepreneur, trying to get things started, it's a lot of lonely nights, a lot of long weekends, a lot of time just kind of by yourself, not really sure if it'll even be worth it. So how do you even get through those tough days as kind of a young entrepreneur, trying to,
Well,
kind of have those aspirations, but not really sure what to do?
yeah, I mean, I started my own accounting firm as the first step. I didn't go right into franchising. So, for several years, we built an accounting firm doing the traditional things like, taxes and financial statements and things like that. But I've always been a business development guy, so we got into things like management consulting, computers consulting, and even sports consulting. At one
Wow.
point I was a certified player agent for Major League Baseball and National Hockey League players. Now, once we
Wow.
discovered this opportunity, though, I couldn't do any of that anymore because this required full time. And so
Yeah.
I sort of withdrew from those activities. And it was really just an idea, Josh, to tell you the truth, at the time where we decided this was something that a lot of businesses needed. And we were willing to take a flyer and go after it in a a multinational way in the United States and Canada. So it was really a decision from dust to create what we have today, which is 250 franchises and about 130 people working in our head office. So it's built from zero to that.
That's crazy. That's quite the operation. And I'm always hearing kind of in franchising that magic number is usually around 100, where, that's kind of where you see franchises either succeed or fail. What was that kind of journey like leading up to the first 100 franchises? And, does it get a little bit easier after that, or what does it look
Well,
like?
I would say to you, there's probably a half a dozen levels. That first one, of course, is the big test. And I can remember when that first person said they were going to join, I think we charged $5,000 at the time. And I can remember just high-fiving myself in the office that actually this was going to work.
Yeah.
But getting the first one is one threshold. Getting 10, that's another threshold because now it's becoming a business rather than there's just a few. And then that 50 level, that 100 level, you're right. Then those are big markers. 50 means you've got to start growing your support staff and you can't do it with just a few people anymore. And that 100 means, okay, now we're getting to be a business. And now I would say 250, where we are right now, is another level where it's becoming a large business,
Yeah.
in the sense that it involves more than 500 people. So
Yeah.
that's another stepping stone, I think. Maybe there's another one at 1,000. We'll see.
It's crazy.
I
And
hope we'll see. How's that?
you guys are averaging about, what is it, 9 placements a month right now?
Anywhere between 6 and 10 a month. It seems it's what's coming on board now. Yeah, and I think it wasn't like that for a long time. It was slow, methodical growth as we
Yeah.
built our system, we built our tools, all of our software, all those things. But in this last 2 or 3 years, it's become. I think a lot of people have started to understand what a great opportunity it is, what a unique business, and people
Yeah.
like you have started to see that that's a pretty cool business. I'd like to refer to that business.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's funny going back to the athletes, how you used to work with them. Do you ever have any athletes as franchise owners?
Not of the major sport level. At this point, no, I don't. No, we don't. There's no reason. I mean, whoever has
Yeah,
a good business head,
right.
an athlete with a good business head is actually a very good and attractive person to us. Even though we normally need business people, we know there is discipline and desire there inside that person, or they never would have gotten that far in the athletic world. So if they've got
Yeah,
a business head as well, then we
yeah.
would absolutely want to talk with them. Yes.
No, that's super interesting. Kind of just as a broker, just one of the candidates I'm thinking about, just in the franchising system. Can you help us as you kind of scaled the business and now you're at about 250? That's a pretty crazy progress. What was the corporate team like when you first got started to where it is now? What was the number like? How many salespeople? What was the operations team looking like?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. We just had a potluck for all of our staff yesterday, and there was 130 people on our staff now.
Oh my
And we were
God.
talking about our very first office when we had, moved from where the accounting firm was to our own, and it was really only about three of us at the time.
Wow.
And it was an old home that had been converted to a funeral home that had been then converted after that. And my very
Jeez.
first office was in the embalming room in the basement. So that was our start.
Oh
But
my God.
and probably for several years after that, we were anywhere from that three or four people up to 15 or 20,
Okay.
and that's how. But then we started to really grow, and now we've got 130, and we're adding people. as we add franchises, as we add cost categories to what we do, all those things that require more or support, we're just continually growing. So
Mm.
it's been an evolution.
No, that's awesome. And I'm super excited to honestly be a part of it. And can you help the viewers get an understanding, as you were going from corporate America to franchising, how did you even like find out about franchising? So you kind of knew you wanted to start your own business. What was kind of the appeal to franchising, and how quickly was it when you started your own business to when you wanted to start franchising the business?
Well, it was sort of by providence that it all happened. And I mentioned to you that, one of the things we did in our firm was computer consulting. And so one of the clients that we had was a very successful franchise system. And we converted them from cash registers to computers back in the
Oh,
around 1989 or 90. So through that, I learned a lot about franchising.
yeah.
I had already learned some contingency consulting through Price Waterhouse because we'd done some, I think, commodity tax consulting that way or something like that.
Hmm.
And it was really those things that came together by chance when we realized that we were really growing our own telecom expenses, which is the expense category
Yeah.
we started with. And we thought, well, we better take a look at this. And when we did, we realized, and the reason was because we were growing with all these computer assignments and me traveling all over for the sports business. And so we knew why the phone expense was going up, but we didn't really know why, if you know what I mean. So we had a programmer, one of our programmers, write something pretty rudimentary to tell us, okay, what's going on? So when we looked at it, we realized we were paying 30% more than we should have. And we thought, well,
Right.
aren't we stupid? And then we went, wait a minute here. If we're stupid, probably our 700 accounting clients are stupid too. And
Yeah.
so is that coming together with my knowledge about franchising along with the contingency consulting, and it all sort of came together, and we just decided that it was something we wanted to build, and that's what we've done ever since.
Yeah, it's an interesting model because especially in franchising, people think McDonald's, Subway, usually they think food right away,
Yeah.
usually the sexy franchises. But, people don't necessarily think, consulting, or they wouldn't think a business to business type franchise. So it's just interesting how, there are so many different models of franchising. Was it
Yeah.
when you first found out about franchising, did you kind of have that same reaction?
Well, yeah, I mean, we were probably early on. I'm not saying we were the first one in this type of business services franchise, not at all, but not a lot were around then. And
Right.
franchising itself is a distribution model. I mean, that's what it was. You distribute coffee grounds or hamburger meat or muffler parts, and
Yeah.
and it's really sort of a concentric growth from wherever that head office is, and then it goes out from there. That's the normal model. And the
Right.
model is about dominating and penetrating a marketplace through your franchise model. I mean, that's what it's all about. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. It didn't traditionally say consulting fits, but with us, what we distribute is training and databases and information and software tools to use. So it is still a distribution model. It's just that we don't
Yeah.
have to do it concentrically. We can do it broadly because of the power of the internet now. So yeah, it lends itself perfectly to what we're doing.
Yeah, that's a powerful tool, and it's interesting how there are so many different ways to get involved in franchising.